Joe Biden, I believe, went on record at a Council on Foreign Relations event saying that he was withholding money from Ukraine when he was vice president until a prosecutor got fired.
I'll give you one concrete example. I was, not but it just happened to be that was the assignment I got. I got all the good ones. So I got Ukraine. And I remember going over convincing our team, or others too, convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired.
Wouldn't that be him admitting to what Trump is being accused of?
Well, yeah, I think the Democratic argument would be that the circumstances are different. They would claim that the prosecutor Sergei Shokin was actually Viktor Shokin, I'm sorry, was actually corrupt, and they're not claiming that it was for personal benefit. Because they're I spoke to the Biden campaign about this. So they obviously their position is that they wanted Shokin out because he wasn't being aggressive enough in prosecuting corruption. Now the actual facts of this are a little bit odd, but that's what their position would be, and that's why they would say that it's not the same thing.
And I think it's actually a fair argument. It is true that Trump. I think it was inappropriate of Trump to bring up Joe Biden with Zelensky in that phone call and to ask for an investigation that would implicate a domestic political rival. I think Democrats actually have an argument there. I don't think it's worthy of impeachment, though, and I don't think they've proven their case at all that Trump leveraged military funding to achieve that investigation. Their best witness was Gordon Sondland, who was the only Trump official who actually spoke to Trump and who actually communicated some kind of linkage between the military assistance and an investigation to the Ukrainian side. Well, what did he say in his testimony? He said that Trump and him actually never talked about the military assistance, and that linkage was only his presumption. But he had no evidence to base it on. It was only his presumption, which is just as valuable for the purposes of making a case as, say, Kurt Volker, the U.S. envoy to Ukraine, who did not have that presumption. So, you can't make a case based on someone's presumption. You need evidence for it, which is why I think Democrats had grounds to put forward a censure vote in Congress, saying that it was inappropriate for Trump to ask Ukraine to investigate Biden and to bring up Biden in that phone call. But to make this an impeachment thing, which, for all the consequences of that, including overshadowing the Democratic Party, and then going to a Senate trial where Republicans are going to take the occasion to highlight what is very obvious about Biden's corruption. I mean, put aside what Biden did and trying to fire that prosecutor. It's just a fact that Biden's son, after Biden's administration staged, or helped back a coup in Ukraine, that Biden's son, Hunter, his unqualified kid, got a lucrative energy board seat. And that's just straight up corrupt. And Biden was the point man for the U.S. on supposedly ending corruption in Ukraine. And his kid is getting a board seat in Ukraine, a board seat that he's totally unqualified for. And he's getting paid, I don't know, it was well over $2 million, I think $3 million or something. So, and the Senate trial is going to bring attention to that. The Republicans are going to use this to highlight Biden's corruption and ultimately will vote for his acquittal. So that's why I just thought that tactically this was a massive blunder.
Also, just to quickly, there are some things about the circumstances of when Biden made that request that are still kind of unclear. Like one of the storylines that came out when this story broke was that at the time that Biden made the request to the Ukrainian government that Shokin be removed, that all investigations of the company Burisma were dormant. You'll see that word used over and over again in news stories. But I'm not sure that that's actually the case. There are a couple of things that suggest that there were a couple of investigations at least going on at the time. A former colleague of mine, Yulia Latinina of Novaya Gazeta, which is the big opposition paper in Russia, she did an expose which showed that there was an investigation of a guy named Sergei Korchenko, who was a Russian who was taking monies that were stolen by the Russian opposition movement in the Donbass, stolen from Ukrainian companies, and then funneling it to Burisma, and including to Rosemont Seneca, which is Hunter Biden's company. So that investigation is ongoing. They showed documents from that case. And then also there was an investigation of Mykola Zlochevsky. His property was actually seized after Biden's visit to Ukraine to get to where he made that demand. So there were at least a couple of things going on. Now, whether or not that had anything to do with investigating Burisma in connection with Hunter Biden is not clear. Probably not, maybe not, but I don't think it's factually true to say that they were all dormant.